Hey YouTubers, Steven here. We're going to do something a little different today. We're going to make an alcohol stove. We're going to take an ordinary pop can and we're going to turn it into a little stove like this one. A little compact. This is one of the ones that I made. Works well. I think the holes might be a little big for it though. But made a little snuffer cap for it too, so when it's burning, drop the cap on it, puts it out. It's pretty easy. Like I said, I made a couple of these. The first one I made worked alright, but I never glued it, wasn't perfect, anything like that. The second one I made, the inner wall wasn't tall enough, so it didn't work at all because it wasn't building up the pressure in around the rings. So did this one, liked it, used a nail to do the holes. This time I'm going to use a drill. Going to make the holes just a little smaller, and hopefully I can get them a little straighter. So I'm going to move the camera and show you what we're doing. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to put in, we want to put in holes here for our burner. I want to go about halfway up between here, and I'm going to try and evenly space them as much as I can. Not sure how many holes I'm going to end up with, but what we're going to do is I'm going to try and line this up. A straight spot, about in the middle where I want it. I'm not putting too much pressure on this when I'm turning, because I don't want to bend the can too much, and I'm taking my time. I want this to kind of look good. There we go. Alright, so we've got our holes all in. I've got 16 holes all together. I'm not sure what size drill bit this is, to be honest. 1/8 of an inch. Let's see if we can find the stamp. I don't know. It's about 1/8 of an inch. It's not very big. Anywho, so I got the idea for this stove from a YouTuber called Robert Mccallum. He's a fellow blue noser who lives here in Nova Scotia, about 45 minutes from where I'm at. And I liked his idea using this top so that you have the seal. I have seen other ideas where they drill the holes in through using the bottom, and this would be your top, and then cut out the center. I think there's a better spread here for the flames. There's more of a gap because this is fairly close to the bottom of the pot. So I'm going to go with this method here, just like I've done with this one. All right. So the next thing that we want to do is I need to cut this top out. Now, one of the things that Robert did was he took a knife and cut all the way around the seam. I didn't find on my first stove it sealed all that well, so what I'm doing is I'm just taking scissors and I'm going to try and cut this open as wide as I can before I get into that seal. Make sure you can see what I'm doing here on the camera. It doesn't have to be right up against the edge. So we're going to do something with the edge once we get this open. And this is mainly to put our fuel in. And I find with the scissors, if you just take a little teeny bit, let's see if I can, if you take just a little teeny bit and then give it a slight turn, cuts up pretty easy. Alright, so our top's open. I know it looks pretty crude right now. It will look pretty when we're done. So, next thing, we're going to turn it upside down. Alright, so what I'm doing here, I want the top to be 3.5 centimeters. I can get my hands organized here. It's a lot easier to do when you're not trying to film it. So, I've got my mark there. I'm just going to set my marker right here, and I'm just going to spin the can. Alright, so I've got a line marked all the way around the can. And I'm going to take my nail. I've got a little finish nail here. We're just going to poke it in just about the line. So we can get the scissor in there. Alright, so we just got a little hole. Get the scissors in here. And what I found was just little cuts to get it started. One edge is going to be a little jagged, so you don't want to cut it dead on the line, because you will need to trim it slightly. Alright, so our top is cut out. I'm just going to straighten this out a little bit. Alright, it's kind of jagged. It's not entirely straight. So we're just going to trim it up a little bit. Not much. But we do want it to be straight, as flat as we can. Alright, that's pretty good there. And it's fairly smooth, so we're set. There's our top piece. Alright, so the next thing we need to do is we need to make our bottom. And for the bottom piece, that's 2 centimeters. But we're going to measure the 2 centimeters from the bottom line of the paint line. If I can get my up here just right, 2 centimeters right there. Alright, now I'm just going to join up the lines here. Alright, so I'm going to pick the lowest point here where I have the most damage, and we're just going to cut this straight down to the line. And try not to go past it. And I'm going to take it and I'm just going to fold it a little bit here, so I get a little space that I can tuck the scissors in. Just a little snip. And as I snip, I'm going to try and straighten as I go along. See how this is pulling out for me? And I'm just pulling it flat. You'll get a much straighter cut when you can do it this way with the bottom piece. Just be very careful with your hands, okay, because this is aluminum. It is extremely sharp. Because we want at least one line to be as straight as we can. It'll help us out in the long run. And looking at the top, I just got a little trimming to do up here. Alright, perfect. That sits flat. This one's not as important as this one sitting flat. But, alright, so those two pieces are done. So what we're going to do next, I want to get as straight a line as I possibly can. I can trim up the corners if they're not so perfect, but to try and get this as square as I can anyways. I'm going to make a straight line here. I'm going to use just the nail to score the aluminum. That actually works pretty good. So then you just bend your score and it pretty much just peels off. Alright, so hopefully that is a nice straight edge. We're going to make it straight either way. So we want to measure off 3.5 centimeters for our intersection. So there's 3.5. Look to the other end. We'll measure out 3.5. Then we're going to line our ruler up on both of those 3.5s. Alright, and then we're going to score it. Hard pressure. Give it good hard pressure and it'll come right through. But you want to have a pad or something. You don't want to do this on your wife's dinner table. You certainly don't want to score the table. You wouldn't score any brownie points there. I'm just going to nip this off a little bit here with the scissors. It's almost there. Alright, there we go. We have our top, we have our bottom, we have our midsection. So what I found worked for me was just curl this around and stick it inside so that it fits tight in the base. Make sure it sits flat, you know, it's not twisted or anything weird like that. And that sits pretty snug in there. Snug as a bug in a rug. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to cut, let's see, I want to cut the bottom. Cut the bottom about here. We're going to go halfway up. And then on this side, we're going to make the same mark halfway up. So I know a red marker doesn't show up very well on a Coke can, and I've got the red mark on the inside. So this one I'm going to cut halfway up. This one, with the red line, I'm going to cut halfway down. So that I can hook these together, like so. Alrighty. Let's check our fit, make sure it's still pretty good in here. Snug to the bottom, goes all the way around. That's exactly what we want. So we need some air holes on the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a notch here try and make it as square as I can. Okay, and then I'm just going to bend the 2 layers of tin can up inside. Squeeze it as hard as I can so that we have a little hole. Alright, we're back. So, one of the things that I did, alright, was I just took my fingernail and I bent the edge in all the way around the cover. Alright, just like this, just so that it tips it in slightly. Alright, I'm not sure if we can see that on the camera or not, but once we have the middle in place, we're going to slide this in on top. And the bends are to assist us to get it in here. Now it's easier if we just lay it on top like I just did here. We're just going to slide this in. Slide it down and make sure that, if I can get the right angle here, that we're sealed. The inner wall is totally sealed all the way around. I don't know if the camera's picking that up or not, but visually I can see that my inner wall is up and around the seam up here. Alright, we want to seal off the top so that when the alcohol in here starts to burn, it'll pressurize through the sides and then come out through the sides. But that's a nice fit. The bottom is a little higher than I'd like, so I'm going to take this off and trim it just a bit, just so that I don't have this bit of an edge here. So we'll take this all off. I'm going to trim this up, and then the next step is we're going to get some epoxy and throw it together. So we'll be right back. Alright, so I'm happy with the fit, how everything is fitting together. So we've got some epoxy here from the dollar store. Now I've had my friends tell me I don't need to epoxy it. However, the first one, when I did the light, it actually separated. So you know what? It's only $1.25 from the dollar store. Alright, it's looking kind of gray, so we're just going to scoop some. We're just going to slide it just on the inside here. That way the top wall holds the bottom wall in. And that's all we're doing. It's just the wall. We don't need to put any on the bottom or anything like that. Okay. Now we're going to put our bottom piece in. I have to start watching my battery because it's almost done. We're going to slide our top in. We're going to make sure it goes down, seals nicely to the top. Perfect. And that's a pretty snug fit. I'm just going to take the rest of this epoxy and I'm just going to put it on the seal. Alright, so it's all epoxied, flat. I'm just going to set my tape measure. It's a pretty heavy tape measure. I'm going to set that on there. We'll let it sit up for a few minutes and we'll be back. Alrighty, well, this sat here for well over an hour. It is only 5-minute epoxy, but it's dry. And the big reason that I wanted to epoxy the outside is this is now smooth. There's no sharp edge here. So we're almost done. Yeah, this kind of looks ghastly, right? So, but what we're going to do is we're going to take our scissors and we're just going to snip to the edge. Alright, just snip a little bit to the edge and just come up, about a centimeter or so, maybe 1/4 of an inch. And we're just going to snip. Let's see if I can get a little closer here. Alright, and we're just going to go all the way around the edge like that, and then we'll come back. Alright, so it should look something similar to that. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to take our scissors, we're just going to start bending these down. And just work our way around the edge. Just take your time because this is sharp. Alright, you don't want to be cutting your fingers, but basically what we're going to do is we're just going to work our way all the way around the edge with the scissors and just bend all the pieces down and try and get it as unsharp and round as we can. Alright, there you have it. We've got a nice opening for our fuel to go in, and it's fairly smooth all the way around. I'm just taking my finger and just running it along here, right? So it's pretty safe. You really have to push hard on this can to hurt your fingers. So I just need to get some fuel, and we'll do a little test run out of it. But so anyways, hopefully you found this video helpful. I'm going to tag on the end once I get some fuel. We'll put some in here and we'll let it burn. Maybe I'll grab one of the pots and put some water in it and see how quick it boils. And maybe I'll do a test burn on this one as well. And we'll see which works better, the bigger holes or the tinier holes. This one here, I have, I think, 10 holes. And this one I have 16 holes, but these are much smaller than those. Let's see if I can get these up for a comparison. And there will definitely be a link down below to Robert Mccallum's video on doing these little alcohol stoves. So, anywho, thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll catch you next time.